I think a lot of the locals, the native Hawaiian, everybody's trying to go back to what we consider like a lost art. I don't just want to survive. I want to show that, hey, even in this type of condition, I could thrive out here. Not only was it a social experiment, it was literally pages out of Lord of the Flies. $250,000 is a lot, right? But I'm not going to compromise my integrity, who I am, and how I want to play this game. Oh, they did not have the damn Aloha spirit, man. And I shave it down into this sharp kind of, I call it an island shape. I jump on it, he jumps on the back. I literally pull out my island shape. I'm saying this in my head as I'm stabbing, like, please die already. I start coughing up blood later that evening. And I talk to the medic and he goes, dude, if we take you to go get x-ray,
right.
You're off the show.
Welcome to the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast.
Welcome, my friends, to the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast, your show for all things self-optimization. I am your host, Drew Grissel of Primal Wellness Coaching. Quick reminder, if you like what we do, if you enjoy our stuff, please hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends and family and anyone that could benefit from what we are giving to you on this show. Also, just a quick reminder that show notes for this podcast are available at the superhumanblueprintpodcast.com. So today we have a very special guest, my dear friend, Keali'i Kaapana, also known as Coach K to his students and clients, or just K, because Keali'i and Coach K are very long. So we'll call you K. I had to write down this bio because it's very extensive. This is the man that can do anything. So when the world ends, call Coach K. Here we go. Keali'i, Coach K, is a highly trained and experienced professional with a diverse background in emergency response, law enforcement, and self-defense. As an Army veteran, he has extensive experience in simple triage and rapid treatment for mass casualty. He has served as a CCW instructor for Los Angeles, Orange, and San Diego County Sheriff's Departments here in Southern California. He is also a certified NRA range safety officer and pistol and rifle instructor, as well as a Stop the Bleed certified instructor. He is a Krav Maga instructor and a California Department of Fish and Wildlife hunter safety instructor. He is also certified by the American Heart Association as instructor in basic life-saving, CPR, AED, and first aid. He's completed 600,000 different courses in active shooter, incident response, firearms, tactics, emergency management, community something or other, special events, contingency planning, animals in disasters, wow, etc. It's a very long list. He has also provided protection for high-profile individuals, and something we're going to talk about a lot today is he has actually appeared on television. So he has been in now 2 survival-themed shows called To the Wild, which is on National Geographic Wild and Disney Plus, as well as Fight to Survive on CBS and Roku TV.
CW.
Excuse me, CW and Roku TV. So we're going to talk about that a lot today as well. But yeah, we'll break down some of that. But we got a lot to talk about today. Kay, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I mean, I know we've been trying to do this for a while, so I'm excited to finally make it happen.
Cool, but first things first, priorities. So
been waiting for the coffee.
Yeah, sorry, man. A lot of prep involved in getting everything ready today. Coffee, unfortunately, took a back seat, which coffee should never take a back seat. So we'll fill her up and then get going. And there's more where that came from. Let me know if you need a top off.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I guess I'll also share that, as I already mentioned in the bio, Coach K is a certified Krav Maga instructor, and that's how Kay and I know each other, is we actually teach. Cheers. We teach at the same school from time to time. Life has picked up a lot for both of us. Since,
never at the same time.
Yeah. Usually, if I can't go, he's in there for me. If he can't go, I'm in there for him. And nobody knows when either of us will be there because we don't even know when we'll be there. All right. So I'm just going to go super basic.
Yeah.
Why do you do what you do? Like, self-defense, survival, first aid, firearms, like what brought you to that? Like how did that become your passion and kind of your life's work?
Well, yeah. A little background about that. My grandfather, his rule was if you're gonna eat, if we need to eat, we're either gonna go catch it, fish it, grow it, right? And I guess growing up, that's always been something that to me, it's just something you did. To everybody else, when you introduce them to it, it's like, oh wow, it's survival. And it's really not survival. It's just what we did every day to live.
Yeah. So you grew up on Oahu in Hawaii. Would you say that type of mentality is maybe more common there, or is that really like your family was digging deep?
No, that's definitely very common there. And
Okay.
it continues to be nowadays. I think a lot of the locals, the native Hawaiian, everybody's trying to go back to what we consider like a lost art. Knowing
Okay.
how to fish, knowing how to be self-sufficient. And that's what everybody's looking to do. And I carried that with me into the Boy Scout. I carried that with me into my military life. And then coming out of the Army, I was like, I need something to do. And I guess that's been my driving force is to introduce people to what I enjoy doing and then I love doing.
Yeah. And how do you even get started on that path? Okay, you were in the Army. What did you do in the Army?
All right. So I went in as an infantryman. I went in as 11 X-ray. So it's like you're either going to go 11 Bravo or 11 Charlie. 11 Charlie is indirect fire infantryman, which is what I ended up doing.
Okay.
So did that. When I got out of the military, everybody said, hey, we know you do all this stuff. How about you show us? And it just started out with me just taking people on hikes, showing them what they can and can't eat, showing them how to forage, taking them down to the beach and being like, hey, you can eat this, you can't eat that. So it started out as that, and then it just spread by word of mouth, and it snowballed into something where people say, hey, you know what? It's going to take up a lot of your time. This is what we want to do. We want to pay you for it. And then National Geographic picked me up and go, hey, want to do a survival show?
Yeah.
We're not going to give you a lot of detail, but do you want to do a survival show? Who's not going to jump on that the minute you hear you're going to be on TV, it's going to be National Geographic, and you get to hang out with your dog in the wilderness? And
Honestly, I think a lot of people are not going to jump on that.
they're totally going to jump on that.
I don't know.
Like, well, what are you going to do that?
I don't know.
You know?
People that don't anything about what you do.
Yeah, I guess you could fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah, well, fake it until you quit.
Yeah, which, by the way, I didn't quit. I won.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll also note that Kay is my firearms instructor, my survival instructor, and my hunting instructor, and
There's CPR and stuff there as well.
my CPR instructor as well. Yes, indeed. And he also was a proctor in my Krav Maga tests as I progressed to black belt. But I will comment that when Kay came back from his first show called To the Wild, yeah, you had some things going on, I think, like intestinally from your woodland diet out there.
Yeah.
And he took me and two other complete amateurs on our first hunt through some very rugged terrain, and we were all dying, and Kay's got this internal shit going on, and yeah, he just gave us all a Snickers and told us to suck it up.
Yeah,
Powered through it.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, literally going up that steep hill. I mean, yeah, it was Snickers. I just kept force feeding you guys Snickers.
Feeding out of the way, as a nutrition coach, I can give you alternatives to Snickers, but Kay stands by the Snickers.
Yeah. The Snicker, if you're out there, sponsorship right here.
Yeah, there you go. If you're watching Snickers, he's the guy. He's telling everyone eat your stuff in dire straits. Eat a Snickers.
Yeah. Oh, that was good times.
All right, so let's talk about that first show called To the Wild. So you were out there with your dog. What was the premise of the show? What was the challenge?
So the premise of the show is it's you and your dog. So a little backstory on that. The producers gave me a call and said, hey, you got on alone, scheduling issues, and I couldn't go on alone. They called me back and go, hey, we have another show that we think you would be great for. Do you have a dog? And I said, that's a weird question, but yes, I do have a dog. So Hogu's a Malamut. He's a a husky and Malamute mix, right? So they're like, "Oh, you guys are gonna be perfect." And I'm trying to get information from the producer that or the agent, and they said, "Oh, we could tell you it's based off of Jack London's book called To the Wild, right? Or Call of the Wild.
Call of the Wild, yeah.
Call of the Wild. The show is called To the Wild."
Yeah.
And it's funny, I was at Jack London Square in
In Oakland.
time.
That's down the street from where I used to live.
Right.
I used to walk there.
So of all places, I get the phone call while I'm in at Jack London Square, and I even had a drink at Jack London's pub or whatever they call it at the time.
Cool.
When I got the phone call, I had to step out.
Nice.
So I was there for a job. Super cool. So I'm excited. I was like, dude, you are not going to believe where I'm at right now. So they're like, oh, this is going to work out perfectly. So then fast forward, it's during COVID. We can't fly directly in the Maine. So we had to fly. They put Hoku and I on a plane. We land in Boston overnight, drive up into upstate Maine by the Canadian border. So we're out there, and the whole premise is, hey, it's you and your dog out in the wild for 10 days.
Yeah.
And you're going up against 2 other people with their dog. You're never going to be close enough to where you could, hear your dogs bark or each other's dogs bark. And so they literally drop me off and go, find your way. Right. So, of course, Hoku and I'm at home, right?
Yeah.
Hoku's a city dog, so he has no idea what's going on. He knows that, hey.
But you prepped him, right? I mean, I recall you taking him out to Redwoods or whatever.
I've taken him up to Northern California, the Redding area,
Yeah,
to get him introduced to the wilderness,
Yeah.
the water. So we did all that, but it's a whole different environment when you're in upstate Maine.
and he didn't get the reps in, right? He
No.
just did it a couple of
Yeah,
times.
he did it maybe once or twice,
You
right?
hear that, people? Reps. Even dogs need reps.
Yeah, so we get out there. He's all over the place. And again, it is a competition, but it's also a show, right? So they got to film you 24/7. And when they're not filming you, they give you a handheld camera. So now you got to be your own cameraman. And at the same time, look out for your dog and try to keep you or trying to keep myself alive. So I'm trying to thrive out there, right? I don't just want to survive. I
Yeah.
want to show that, hey, even in this type of condition, I could thrive out here. So we get out there, and for those of you who don't know anything about survival show, it'll take you hours to build a shelter, and then they'll say, hey, great job, take it apart, because now we need to film you doing it from this angle. So
Sounds very annoying.
at first, hey, it's what I signed up for.
Yeah.
I just got to roll with the punches, right? So I'm doing that, and then you realize, well, if I'm rebuilding my shelter over and over so they could get the different angles, which, hey, I get it. It's TV. I'm not finding water. I'm not finding food. So then I have to adapt, right? So now, instead of doing what I really want to do, right, hunt and all that, I go back to my foraging skill, which I remember as a kid, right? So a lot of plants, you know what you can and can't eat, right? So leading up to this survival challenge, I've researched enough. I talked to subject matter expert, and everybody is a subject matter expert until you're put in that situation, and then you're just a white belt. Like my favorite,
You fall back on your reps, right?
yeah. So it's always like everybody wants to be a black belt until it's time to do black belt stuff, right? So now everybody wants to be a survivalist until it's time to do survivalist stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you're not doing survivalist stuff. You're doing TV survivalist, meaning, hey, that was great. Do it again so we can get it from this angle. Long story short, I ended up surviving off of.
This episode is brought to you by the Hack Your Sleep program. Are you tired of feeling drained, struggling to stay focused throughout the day? Is low energy impacting your work and your relationships? So many of our clients at Primal Wellness Coaching used to be there too, until we introduced them to the simple steps in the Hack Your Sleep program. And guess what? As a Superhuman Blueprint podcast listener, we are going to give you access to this program absolutely free. This program isn't just about getting more sleep, it's about getting better sleep. Imagine falling asleep quickly and having nights filled with deep, restorative sleep. Say goodbye to those restless nights and wake up refreshed every day. These proven techniques will help you relax, clear your mind, and drift off into that peaceful embrace of sleep faster and keep you there longer. Even if you don't have time to add hours to your sleep schedule, you don't have to sleep more just to sleep better. But don't take my word for it. Join the Hack Your Sleep program and become part of the community of well-rested, energized individuals. Go to hackyoursleep.net and use code SUPERHUMAN to get this sleep improvement program completely free. That's hackyoursleep.net, code SUPERHUMAN to start sleeping better tonight.
Inner tree bark, grasshopper, roots, berries, blueberry leaves, which is what I found out after the fact is that they're a lot more nutritious than the actual blueberry.
No way.
Yeah. Hey,
Good to know. Grow me some blueberries.
yeah, and eat the leaves.
Yeah.
But no, I actually was able to complete the challenge, get the most points for building one of the best shelter they've ever seen. I built a raft. Yeah, I ate a lot out there, plant-based stuff.
Yeah.
Which kept me going. And then I get back here, and literally the next day, we're out doing 10 miles a day,
Yeah.
up and down mountain for wild pig.
Maybe not the wisest decision,
Dude,
but
hey, man, it was like,
but
hey,
you made it.
you're on to something with this plant-based diet of yours, right? So,
Whoa. I do not advise anyone to have a plant-based diet. To put that out there, but it is possible to be healthy while on a plant-based diet.
it's not easy.
Yeah.
Definitely not easy.
No, it requires a lot of intention, but yeah, it's possible. And I watched the show, and do you remember what episode that was? 2, 3?
Yeah, so on Disney Plus, it's episode 3, Bred for Survival. And then on National Geographic Wild, I don't know which episode, it might be episode 4, but the title of the episode is Bred for Survival, if anybody's interested.
I watched the episode, and it's TV, right? And what you see is not necessarily what happens.
Right.
They make it look like you really didn't eat anything. So obviously you got your nutritious, your berries, your foliage, your bugs, all that stuff. So yeah, it makes a little bit more sense that after, what was it, 7 or 10 days?
Yeah.
10 days, you still have the calories in you to hike out of there.
Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing. So everything that I have to carry in is, they give you a list, like alone, they give you a list of, hey, these are the items you can bring, but you also have to bring stuff for your dog, and those count as items. Hoku was able to, I mean, if it wasn't for him dragging giant logs through the forest, and I wish they would have showed more of that me and him working together, because anything, like when I made the ramp, it was him pulling logs, right? Heavy logs at a time. I mean, I remember a couple of them being 30 to 40 feet, and he's dragging them from a good distance. Of course, we're taking breaks and stuff. I'm not trying to break Hoku.
Yeah.
Right. We're getting from point A to point B, which could be anywhere from maybe a quarter of a mile. And a quarter of a mile doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're going up and down and trying to make your way through the wilderness, it's a lot of work. But again, we built this mansion fort. We built a raft.
Guys, even if you don't watch the episode, you should just check it out and look at their house that Kay built.
Yeah.
So it's a very cozy woodland home. I love it.
But that was, honestly, it was outside of my comfort zone. I came from an island, so jungle survival's where I feel more at home, which when we discussed the next survival show I did,
right?
Yeah, it was a bigger factor. But being in the cold, I was able to adapt. I was able to roll with the punches, even when the producer said, "Hey, do it again, do it again, do it again."
One thing I'll say about you, because we've been through a lot of, I guess, situations or scenarios together that you could say are difficult, whether it's Krav Maga testing or training, or even just when we're out there in the backcountry doing our hunting or whatever. Getting up at 3 a.m. to be out there at 4 a.m. It's really cold, but you don't ever complain. I don't know what narrative's going on in your head, but the complaining never makes it out of your mouth if there's any complaining in there.
Yeah, that goes back to the whole, I think in the military, no, I don't think in the military, it was, well, we call it trauma bonding. When we talk about what we did in the military, I think this comes across, but I think this is a factor for every veteran that's been in a situation like that. When you go back and you think about it, right, you never talk about the good times, right? What makes you laugh and smile is about the bad time. Even when we talk about hunting, it's like, man, you remember how bad it rained, or it was like the worst times at that moment became the most fond memories that I would never want to replace.
Yeah. When I think about being out there, a lot of it is just sitting there hunkered down, freezing while we're glassing, right? We're up there with the binoculars and you just get in the zone. That's what you think of. Um, and I've never been one to take naps in my life. Usually they just kind of screw me up. They make me groggy. I don't feel good afterwards. But I learned that I could nap on the ground outside, like under a tree in the dirt on a rock. I can just lay down and go to sleep and have the best sleep in my life, and it's amazing. Most people would be like, "That sounds terrible," but
Yeah.
no, it's amazing. I can't wait to go out again just so I can take a nap.
And we take turns too.
Yeah,
Like,
take
right,
turns
DJ,
taking
glass,
naps.
now taking a nap.
Yep, I bring out the jet boil, some instant coffee, so once we're awake, we have a little cup of coffee. It's great. All right, so fast forward 2 years, right, is from the first show to the second show.
Man, I want to say, yeah, just about 2
Yeah,
years.
just about 2 years. Yeah. So once you got word that you were getting on the second show, Fight to Survive, and you had some knowledge of what you were getting into. At this point, I was already deep into kind of the health and wellness coaching. So that's where you and I ended up doing a little bit of work up front to mostly just get your nutrition dialed in to prepare you for the hardships of being in a survival situation. And so we'll get into the protocol a little bit and then maybe come back to it once we talk about your experience on the island. But what we focused on really was weaning you off of carbs, not quite being in a ketogenic diet, but being pretty close to it, but still keeping higher protein because I didn't want you to lose muscle mass. But I wanted your body to adapt to using your body fat, adipose tissue for fuel, because I didn't know if there was going to be a day or days where you're going to be out there and you're just not going to have something to eat, right? Turns out you did pretty well. But but I wanted you to stay in the game, right? I wanted you to stay strong, so I wanted you to be adapted to living off of not having carbohydrates, living off of your own fat reserves. But then I also wanted to maintain your muscle mass, because if you're not feeding off of carbohydrates and fat, you're feeding off of muscle, and we don't want you to have significant muscle loss while you're out there, because again, it's a survival situation. You got to be on your feet. You got to move around. You got to hike. You got to go. I don't know what the terrain's going to be, but I can't imagine it's going to be great. You got to move your body for your food, right? You got to go out and get your food. So yeah, I remember you checking in with you every couple of weeks, be like, "Hey, are you still doing it?" "Yeah, I'm doing it. It sucks, but I'm doing it." But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I remember it. You laid it out perfectly for me. So there was no way that I could mess it up, right? But you've got to add, we were also doing our 100 burpee day challenge. So I think the
just started that.
the day that I landed, I did my 100 burpees. My 1 year anniversary of doing 100 burpee was in Fiji, I want to say.
Oh, were we already a year in at that
Yeah.
point? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were a year in.
Yeah, I guess we were.
Yeah, so that was awesome.
By the way, if you guys don't know what Kay is talking about, 100 Burpee Club, it just means you do 100 burpees every single day. It was the 2nd of August of 2021 that Kay called me up and he was like, "Hey, Drew, I just started doing 100 burpees a day. You should do it with me." And I was like, "That sounds terrible. Nobody likes burpees. Nobody wants to do 100 burpees a day. But all right, I'll do it with you for a couple of days." And he's like, "No, we're going to do it for a year." I'm like, "No, I'll do it for 3 months." And 2.5 years later, haven't missed a day.
They'll do them. Yeah, now we do it with like plate carriers and vests and all that. Just
with
to go.
weight vests. I started adding in multiple push-ups to every burpee and slow-mo squats and burpee pull-up. So yeah, burpees got boring, if you can believe it.
Yeah, seriously, really boring. We did it not even on our hunting trip.
Yeah, we're out there in the woods, in the dirt, doing burpees on the dry leaves.
Place to-
Yeah,
do it
whatever.
quietly.
I've done burpees in a lot of different terrain just to get them in. I remember when I was in Israel doing my Krav Maga instructor training in Israel, I'm out there with, I forget, 8-9 hours a day of training, but I got to get my burpees in. 50 burpees before I leave in the morning, 50 when I get back at the end of the day. Anyway, I digress. So you had your nutrition dialed. You were still doing your burpees. You went out there, Fiji, one of the Fiji islands.
Yeah, Keali'i Island, which is known as the Garden Island in Fiji. So the producer who produced the show for National Geographic called To the Wild recommended my name. So I get a phone call and I'm like, okay, this gotta be a scam. So I hate you. Call back. Hey, it's not a scam. And they're like, dude, come on. I did a survival show, but like at that point, I don't think I'm well known
Right.
in the survival community yet.
Yeah.
So they pitched the show, go, hey, we think you would be great. It takes place on an island. They don't tell you, all they tell you it takes place in the South Pacific. That's all they tell you.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be.
You're like, perfect. I'm going home.
Right. So and again, it's unscripted. So they don't want you going in with any information at all. Right. You're a clean slate. And when they say it's unscripted, it means they don't get involved in any way. Like your actions are your actions alone. Right. Not to say that Call to the Wild, all of it was my actions. Right. But having to stop and redo.
Yeah.
And rebuild, or, oh, hey, could you make that fire again?
Yeah.
Or, hey, can you build that shelter again? It's still unscripted, but having to stop and do it.
Yeah, but they were still giving you some direction.
Right.
On things that you were already doing.
Right. But on Fight to Survive, there was no direction. It was just people beat people.
Yeah.
And so the whole premise of that show is they drop off a bunch of survival experts, right?
Were they all survival experts? Because
you know what? Hey, like I said, everybody's a survival expert until it's time to do survival.
Because sure as shit didn't seem like some of them were survival experts. Hey, you need me to top you off there?
Oh no, I'm still good, man.
Right.
So we get there, and again, they're flying people in from all over the U.S., right? And they're trying to keep you from mingling with other people. There's not a single person that I know, right? And they're like, oh, I'm a survivor. Oh, I'm on Naked and Afraid. Oh, I've been on Alone, the Monster, right? So everybody's there has been on previous survival shows.
Yeah.
They've been on multiple survival shows for Naked and Afraid.
Okay.
Right? There's only one individual who, we'll get into him later, but he got on because he was an Eagle Scout. So I guess they needed somebody who wasn't on a survival show.
Sure. Diversify.
Yeah. So ends up being 17 people on this island, right? And it's pretty much, in my opinion, it was a social experiment, right? Not only was it a social experiment, it was literally pages out of Lord of the Flies. Like, are they going to work together, right, to rebuild the community, right?
Yeah.
And make it better than what it is? Or are they going to diverge, end up making two different groups and going at it?
Yeah.
So
faction out.
Right. And of course that happens because you're always going to have a couple bad apples who want to be top dog, right? Who want to boss people around, say, hey, go do this, go do that. And then you can have people be like, dude, that's not what I'm about. Right. I want us to work together.
Yeah.
You've given me directions and commands. So what I originally planned was the minute you drop me off, I'm going to go off on my own and survive. Right.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody else. Right. Because for me, it wasn't about the money. Like people go, dude, $250,000 is a lot. Right. But I'm not going to compromise my integrity, who I am, and how I want to play this game. Right. Which I didn't. I played the game how I wanted to play the game.
Yep.
Right. So somehow, the premise of the game is if all of you make it to the end, you split the $100,000, right? Somehow I get pulled into a group. Let me go back.
Because you have a lot of charisma. People want to be around you.
So they have these areas that are already been semi-built up for you, right? So there's a lagoon that you could claim. So you could claim that resource, right? Well, then there's the fire resource, which is like firewood. Then there's the shelter resource, right? Where it's almost like a treehouse, but you still have to build up on it, right? And then there's the water resource. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if I'm missing there's a food resource, which is the lagoon, the fire resource, which is obviously firewood, shelter, and then water. So you have these different resources that you could claim. Now, which would be awesome, right? Because then you could go from kind of village to village and be like, hey, I'll give you firewood if you give me some water, right? Now, I wasn't about that. I know that, hey, drinking water is just going to dilute my system. The humidity, it's hot, you're walking all over the place, right? You're still working. Fresh young coconuts are the way to go, right? On top of that, so you have these natural resources that you could claim. The downside to that is you can't be more than 25 feet away, right? And you could be challenged for these resources.
Why can't you be more than 25 feet away?
Because once you leave 25 feet, then you give up that resource.
Oh, no way.
So you have to be there to claim it. So now you do have to work together, right?
Yeah, because you can't protect your firewood
Right.
and still go out and find food.
Yeah. So on top of that, they give you one tool, right? They pick the tool for you. My tool was a Hawaiian spear, which is useless to me if I don't have a mask, because Fiji water is acidic, the coral bleaching, all that. It's hard to see underwater without a mask, right? So not having a mask doesn't do you any good. You can only be in the water for so long.
Yeah.
Right. And one, it's a coral reef, dude. You're gonna get cut up, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to get injured, right? I want to make it to the end, right, of this 30-day challenge. So they add that, hey, you could challenge each other for each other's tool, right? You could challenge each other for the resource. The way it would work is if you are the challenger and you lose, you go home. You're one and done. If you win, you get the other person's resource or tool, but they still get to stay.
Right.
Right. So that's the whole premise of the show. Right. And then they added the twist at the end, which is now it's a free for all. You could challenge each other
Towards the end of the show, yeah.
regardless if you win or lose the challenge. And the challenge is fighting for this total. Right. It's like it's a circular, it's a steering wheel pretty much. Right.
I watched the show. It's basically a steering wheel.
And it's based off of like a Fijian tribal game that they did back in the day. Right?
Oh, okay.
So that's where that came from. Right. So we ended up breaking off into two factions, and we had what we call team fight. And then we were team, so they picked team friendship. And I'm like, dude,
yeah,
we need to code it.
Very terrible name.
Then I was like, hey, what about team survive? Because that's all we're doing, right? We're surviving and we're thriving outside the arena while they're dying outside the arena, but they're thriving in, right? I get called out first because apparently me and we're great friends now, Yuta, who's from Oahu as well. We became really good friends and we work together really well. The downside to that is it's a 30-day challenge, right? But it's only going to be 8 episodes. So you're trying to fit as much as you can in per episode, right? So it's like 3 days per episode. So the first day I get challenged because Yuta and I have been catching fish. I get
really already day one. You're already out there catching fish.
We're not only catching fish. We're literally doing what we call like a Hawaiian hobo stew, where, hey, whatever we could find, we'd throw it into the giant pot. We're going to use the fresh water that one of our tribe member was able to claim.
Yeah.
We got firewood from another tribe member who claimed it.
Yeah.
And then we had the lagoon water. So we mixed the lagoon water, that estuary kind of brackish water.
Okay. Yeah.
Fresh water. Hey, Yuta is a survivor chef, right?
What is a survivor chef? What does that mean?
He goes out and he actually, forage and then do pop-up kitchen.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So he does that on Oahu. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, check him out. We'll throw it out there later. But
so day one, you're already like getting fresh young coconuts and seafood.
Yeah. So
you didn't need me.
Because there was days where it rained.
Yeah.
So now you can hang out, eat what you can.
Yeah.
Coconut meat. So I get challenged for my spear. My spear gets taken away.
Today's episode is brought to you by PowerPlate. Vibration therapy, usually delivered through platforms like PowerPlate, offers a wide range of potential benefits for physical health and well-being. I'm talking enhanced muscle strength, improved circulation and blood flow, increased flexibility and range of motion, faster recovery from soreness and injury, and one of the coolest benefits, which is leveraged even by astronauts, is enhanced bone density. How cool is that? For me personally, any workout I do while standing stationary is done on my PowerPlate vibration platform. PowerPlate uses something called triplanar vibration, which is superior to other vibration platforms. It's really interesting. When I stand on it, it almost feels like gravity increased, like I'm being pulled towards the ground, which puts a unique spin on doing your traditional bodyweight workout movements like squats and push-ups and really anything you can do while standing still. So pick up your PowerPlate at powerplate.com/primal and use code PRIMAL for 20% off the PowerPlate vibration platform. Again, that's powerplate.com/primal. Use code PRIMAL for 20% off.
At this point, I'm pissed, right?
Yeah.
Because here's what happened. With my background, I was lectured for 30 minutes about, okay, you can't do this. You can't do this.
Because of your martial arts experience?
Yeah. It's a whole list of what I can and can't do, right?
in
Because again,
the fight.
in the fight, in this arena, right? It's supposed to be a tug of war, right?
Yeah.
Well, the two that we went up against had no background in martial arts whatsoever. Right?
Yeah.
So everything they did, and again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying anything else. It's my opinion.
And I'm just going to interject here and say, if you are a martial artist and you ever have a experience where you're sparring with someone that is not a martial artist and they know you're a martial artist and they know that they're not, then usually the martial artist is the one that takes a beating because they're controlling themselves and they are making sure that they're not obliterating the other person, whereas the other person's just, I'm in the fight for my life, I'm going to wreck this person.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
No. So
I think that's what you're getting at, so I just throw that in there because as experienced martial artists, we all take beatings from people that we just don't want to beat up.
We know what we're capable of doing. We don't want to injure them. So I end up getting injured. Now, I don't know the severity of my injury at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, hey, I'm injured. So next day worked up, I'm pissed, right? The only reason they wanted the spear was so that if we wanted to use a spear, we had to go ask them for it, right? Which, okay, fine. But their rule was for every 3 fish you catch, we get 2, you guys get 1. So we're like, F that, right?
Yeah.
I know how to survive on this island. So literally you and I, literally a stick, maybe 5-6 inches, waiting for low tide. We're catching fish. We're catching eel. We're catching sea urchin. We're catching sea cucumber at low tide. We just know how to survive.
Yeah.
So they were eating again. Now they're really upset, right? So every time we're thriving, every time they smell what we're cooking, they come back and they challenge us for stuff. So you just got to watch the show. But in terms of what I did, every day I went out with this injury and I survived because I knew that, hey, I grew up on Oahu. I know there's certain plants we can't eat. The ocean is going to provide, right? As much as the ocean is going to provide, there's also animals that are on land.
Yep.
Oh, again, I was hoping that I could get a giant fruit bat, one of the Fiji fruit bat. They were all over the place.
People eat bats?
Yeah, on
Okay.
Fiji, yeah.
All right.
Giant fruit bat. But again, I get it. We're like, hey, it's going to be another COVID-19. I'm like, dude, the Fijians are eating it, right?
Yeah.
All these bats eat are fruit.
Yeah.
That's what they're known for, right?
Mhm.
They don't eat bugs or anything. They don't fly through the air at night.
Yeah.
I mean, at night, they're hanging out in these giant trees. And you can see them they're not in caves, right?
Okay.
They're just hanging out from these giant trees upside down. And then in the morning, they're flying to go find fruit. So I'm like, okay, I know there's wild game out here, right?
Yeah.
We hear them, we see tracks. The only downside is that to get to where the wild game are, it's an up-down hike. Now, you can only get to that point if you have the energy to do so,
Right.
because there's no water source along the way, right? You get there and now you got to hopefully find a fresh young coconut or something, right? Drink that and then make it back every catch. I was able to catch python, harvest it, showed them how to showed the people in my tribe how to harvest it, got it, clean it, cook it up, right?
How did you catch this python?
There was Jonathan, who was a great friend. Stephanie, me and her bonded so well, we became civil. That's the only way. She's my little sister. The 3 of us are going to the hunting field. I can't remember who it was, but one of them said, hey, Kay, look, there's a python. I look and I'm like, that is a python. I walk over there, grab it. I have this bamboo that I'm using as a walking cane because of my injury that I don't know about, right?
Right.
So the injury turned out, for everybody wanting to know, was a fractured rib.
Okay.
Right.
If you ever had a fractured rib, then you know that.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, you feel that all the time, whether you're hiking uphill or not.
Yeah, and it only makes it worse when you're sleeping in, well, we found a cave, so we slept in a nice cave, had a nice fire.
Yeah, dude, they had the shelter resource, but you found shelter that was better than their shelter resource.
Yeah, so we ended up losing a lot of our resources, right? We
Yep.
lost the water. We lost a lot of, not just the water resource, but we lost our tool as well. Then we ended up, I don't want to give too much away, right? I want people to watch it, right? Because then increases the rating and all
Yeah.
that. I'll get invited back, hopefully, for another season or another survival show. But anyway, I end up setting up snare traps and doing all this stuff. So I continue to feed my group of people, right? My tribe, because my way of thinking is, what good is it to make it to the end when there's nobody else, right? Like the whole point of, and I'm not just talking about in a game, right? Yeah, the game is to win, but why can't you have multiple people win with you who helped you along the way, right? If we all won, we would split the 100 grand. If you're the last one standing, meaning you beat people up or they drop, you get $250,000, right? Well, again, I wasn't there about the money. I wanted to make sure that, hey, this is a great opportunity, Kay, for you to still be able to showcase your survival skill, but prove it to yourself that, hey, you could still survive, right? Yeah. On an island. I was teaching people how to husk coconuts with their bare hands. I taught people how to build shelter by weaving palm leaves in that. I introduced them the heart of palm, right?
What is that?
A young palm tree, if you get to the middle of it, the heart of palm is delicious and nutritious.
It's like the core of the trunk?
Yeah, the core of the trunk, right?
Okay.
Because it's not really a tree. A lot of people call it the millionaire salad, right? When it gets chopped and put in salad, because you got to harvest that whole tree, just to get maybe anywhere from 5 to maybe foot of heart of palm, right? So it's known as the $1 million salad or the millionaire salad.
Cool.
Yeah. Super nutritious. You could eat it. It's easy to harvest, right? But you need some kind of tool to harvest it. And again, we were losing tools day after day because Team Fight didn't want to work for anything.
Yeah.
They were hoping that by taking our tools, we would come begging for it.
And so they wanted to take your things so that in order for you to be able to use your things, you would have to ask and then share.
Yeah.
So they wanted you to keep them alive,
right? While you're doing all the work, right? So that's the game they want to play. So, and again, they were on Survivor and Naked and Afraid. So I can tell you right now, 0 survival skill. It's great that you did Naked and Afraid and you made it to the end. I don't know if they made it to the end.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they made it to the end. But all you were doing was just laying there, waiting for that 21 day. So they weren't thriving.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if I'm getting a little upset because to know that people in that type of situation, instead of working together, they find a way to step on other people. Just maybe that coming from a Hawaiian community where we made sure that the person to your left and your right, your neighbor, had something to eat every night.
Right.
That's just,
they did not have the aloha spirit.
No, they did not have the damn aloha spirit, man. So yeah.
All right, let's talk it. And by the way, like I watched the show and I'm glad we're talking about it. I'm glad I've had a chance to pick your brain on things because it's a show, right? Like Kay said, they're out there for a month, but it's only an 8-episode show. So they got to condense down so much. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you were telling me that I didn't know. For example, the fights for the totem, like you watch the show and it looks like they're like maybe a couple of minutes, but how long? What's the setup?
Yeah. So the setup is actually best of 2 out of 3, right? So if you and your teammate, so if a man versus a man, you go into the ring 1-on-1. If you get challenged by the opposite sex, they get to pick somebody of the opposite sex, and then you get to pick somebody of the opposite. Right. So I got challenged by a girl. Right. So she gets to pick a guy to come into the ring. Yep. I have to pick somebody from my tribe. Right. And again, you don't know what's going to happen until you're in there. Right. So then it turns out that they're throwing knees, they're throwing elbows, and it's supposed to go 2 of 3 rounds, right? Or best of 2 out of 3. Our fight went almost 9 rounds. And these 2 people are pretty jacked, right? They're buff, and there's me, and then I have Christina, who's from Kentucky. She did Naked and Afraid. 47 years old or about there. So I know we're the underdog, right? She fought her heart out. Yeah. They couldn't beat us. It kept going to sudden death to the point where me getting kneed and the total.
How long is a round?
You'll go until this stalemate. So that if you're not fighting, so we could be holding on to it, tugging back and forth. It's just going to keep going until there's a stalemate, meaning one of us falls down, we put our body on it.
Oh, and just no one can get it.
Yeah.
So 9 rounds. I mean, how long is that? Like 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
Easily, right? Yeah. But
seriously, it looks like it's 2-3 minutes on the show.
So, right. And it looks like there's only 1 round, like they get it, right? So It's just interesting how, but again, the producers didn't know that it was going to be that aggressive, right? Because they did testing stuff and they talked to the Fijians and, hey, this is a game you probably want to do. It's a friendly game, right? It's probably a friendly game, but
when you put money in the mix,
money and people going home,
yeah,
it becomes pretty physical, right? It's not just a tug of war. And trust me, there were moments where I was like, hey, dude, I could just break this guy's wrist.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, drop a knee. Yeah. Right here. And
choke him out.
Yeah. But then I would have been a piece of shit person for doing that. And I would have been sent home because they knew what to look out for if I were to do anything. They didn't know what to look out for if the other team were to do something.
Right. All right. So let's talk about your big catch.
Oh, man. Well, in my opinion, there was a lot of big catch, right?
Okay.
So the python, the 2 coconut crab, one of them, I had to climb a tree with a fractured rib to actually get this coconut crab. And I still remember the look of the safety team that was there and the producer that was there. They had no idea I was just going to jump on this tree and climb it.
Yeah.
We just caught that python, right? So they think we're going back. I literally look up and I see the coconut crab.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn.
By the way, if you guys don't know what a coconut crab looks like, I didn't know before I watched the show. They are huge. Like it's a coconut crab could obliterate your chihuahua.
Yeah, easily, easily, right? Everybody goes, oh, that tree's got to be at least 40 foot tall, right? After I did the climb. So I get up there and I tune everything out, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the zone. I'm like, just don't die.
Good advice.
It's a giant tree, but then the coconut crab is on a coconut tree, right?
Yeah.
So it's this giant tree, and then you have this coconut tree that kind of runs through it.
Okay.
And he's at the top. So you got to...
Just don't die. I like your self-talk. It's very simple.
Yeah.
Just don't die.
What more do you need? Like, die, right? So I was trying to be positive as I was climbing up. Okay, don't die. Right. Perfect. Okay, let's flip the switch there, right? Let's use positive talk, right? Just keep climbing, right?
That's very David Goggins-esque of you.
Right? If I say don't die, I'm probably going to hear that last word, die, right?
Yeah.
die, right? So I just said, keep climbing.
Yeah.
That was now in my head, keep climbing. So I get there. At this point, I haven't looked down yet. So I look down, I'm like, oh man, dude, I'm pretty high up. And then the wind starts blowing and coconut trees just go back and forth, right? With the wind. And I'm like, okay, dude, awesome. Well, hey, if you're going to go out, right? Better to go out falling from a coconut tree than from an injury. Right? So I got to lose at this point, right? So I grabbed the coconut tree or the coconut crab and I'm screaming down to my 2 friends at the bottom, Stephanie, Jonathan. Like, are you guys down there? Yeah. So I go to throw. I literally grab them by the tail and just fling them because they have a crusher claw and then like a more of a fine motor, like pincher claw, right?
Yeah.
They will take chunks out of the coconut tree as they're climbing it. So there's just these big chunks of like coconut tree missing because they're climbing up.
Because they can dismember a coconut, right?
They will crack a coconut and then eat it, right?
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, well, the first one I caught was just walking on the beach at the time. So, and they're super slow on the sand, right?
Yeah.
Was able to get that. We ate that already. This was the one I wanted just because it was bigger and it was up in that tree, right? And I wanted to know that, hey, I knew that I climbed coconut tree as a kid. Can I still do it, right? So that was my challenge to myself as well. So I threw him down. And then Stephanie dropped it like, where is he? I'm like, shit. Then I throw him into the water, right? Because it's right over the ocean as well. Waves coming in. I'm like, man. So I get down. The little sucker, freaking, as he's falling, grabs on to a branch of the tree. They're like, no.
That's pretty good. Like, I'm impressed that a slow crab can grab something midair as it's falling.
Yeah,
and just hang on.
And they're like, oh, can we see him? We're just going to try to get him. And I'm like, okay, cool. At this point, I didn't realize that I can't make a U-turn, right? So I literally had to climb.
So you're going down backwards.
And I still hear them going, don't fall, go slow. And I'm like, dude.
Great advice.
Yeah, like, great advice, man. So I'm like, thanks, guys. Well, I'm trying to fall, right? Yeah. Stupid trees in the way, right? So I finally make it down. I don't quite go all the way down. And I see where he's at. And I'm like, son of a bitch. So now I have to shimmy myself across the tree and yank him down, right?
Okay.
So I do that.
So you had to get him a second time.
Yeah, I get him a second time. So I make it down, and at this point, the adrenaline high, I don't feel the pain. So
Okay.
we walk maybe a mile back
With your snake and your crab.
with the python here and the coconut crab, right? We feed everybody.
Yeah.
Then we still had stuff left over, and I'm like, guys, I saw pig tracks. I want to go back, and we hear them at night squealing stuff, right?
Yeah.
They're all over the place. Went back. I rested out for 2 days, just eating python and coconut crab, right? By the way, we also caught 2 giant clam. Oh, and a bunch of conch shell, but made sure to leave a bunch in the ocean. I mean, we didn't want to just harvest everything.
Right.
So we took what we needed.
Yeah.
Because that was one of my things, like, hey, guys, I don't want to waste food. We're going to take what we need.
Yeah.
And leave the rest in. And everybody in my tribe was okay with that. If we got to go out the next day and survive by catching and harvesting and foraging, that's what we're going to do. Right. As long as we were staying active, the days just flew by. One of the tribe member was able to she went snorkeling, and when I say snorkeling, she just had a mask.
Yep.
She got conch shell. And again, people are like, hey, Kay, we don't know how to break into the conch shell.
Yep.
So then here I am, injured, just did all this stuff, right? And I was more than happy to do it, right? Because I was putting out, right? And I'm not saying that everybody else wasn't putting out. It's just I knew what to do. And people were really good about, hey, I need you to do this, or hey, I need help with this, right?
I'm not here to kiss your ass, but I will say you are selfless sometimes to a fault. Like, you will inconvenience yourself to a pretty high degree to do something for someone else that they need. I mean, you will literally give someone the clothes off your back if you feel like they need those clothes. Anyway, you'll sacrifice time you don't have to help someone with something or train someone on something. Because anyway, sorry, continue.
To me, it's never an inconvenience, right? The way I see that is they could ask anybody in their group of friends or their family, but for whatever reason, and this is what my grandfather taught me, if somebody goes to you for help, it's because, one, they trust you, they can depend on you, and they know that you could get it done. Now, like you said, to a fault, right? There'll be a point where if they start taking advantage of me, it's me going, hey, man, I can't help.
Yep.
Right? And I don't have a problem saying that, right? But I know a lot of people, but I don't have a lot of friends, right? So the people in my circle, I make sure I'm always there for you guys. And that's just the way I am. So
I'm going to cry right now.
Oh, yeah.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
But
anyway, conch shells. You help them break into the conch.
So I'm sitting there just break into this conch shell, right? So that center core is that spiral. I literally take it and I shave it down into this sharp kind of, I call it an island shape.
That sounds pretty ghetto.
So everybody would be like, hey, Kay, can I work an island shape to break into this coconut? Perfect. I had a husking station, which I wish they would have shown.
Yeah.
But in some of the footage, you see coconuts that have been husked. I mean, they're giant young green coconut, right? And then you got to break into that outer green husk, and then you have all that brown stuff, right? And I'm just sitting there, because again, I'm injured. There's not, unless I'm going out to get food for my people, I'm going to sit there and just continue. So I continue to work just to keep my mind busy.
Sure, yeah.
Then
you got it. What else are you going to do?
Yeah, I should have rested.
Yeah.
I should have tried to heal up. Well, even then, it was just hard to sleep because every time I laid down, the ribs would just dig in and my chest would just, it made it harder to breathe. So sitting up was the best one, right? And just keep moving. Plus, I was getting strong just by husky coconut because I was like, if I get back into that arena, dude, my floor was like swole, right? But so I make an island shank. After I make the island shank, we head out, set up a bunch of snare trap. Well, I say we, but people, they needed a break, right?
Yeah.
And I said, hey, dude, take a break. I got it, right? Now I'm fully in the survival mode, right? Because I know that we harvested the python, the coconut crab, and now I don't know how much more coconut crab we're going to get. So let's just cover all the bases, right? Set up snare, set up snare, set up snare, go foraging, sea grapes. I thought everybody like, hey, grab these sea grapes, you could eat them, right? They're salty. They'll add, I don't know if they're going to add anything, but it's going to fill up your tummy, add a little bit of salt to your diet, right? So I'm teaching them all this survival stuff, right? And I'm like, how are you guys on a survival show? And they're like, well, we were on Survivor, right? Compete for food and stuff. Okay, cool. What about Naked and Afraid? Well, we waited out until
Yeah, I mean, you look at the metrics on Naked and Afraid, and they talk about how much weight people have lost. So,
yeah. So
so kind of shows they're kind of living off their own tissue a lot of the time.
yeah, 21 days is not a lot, right? You could go what? 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and then 3 weeks, which is 21 days without food, right? So you can literally just hang out.
Be miserable.
Yeah, right. If you haven't go out there, I'm going to survive. But again, I'm not trying to put down any survival skill, right? Because it may not have jungle survival skill, right? That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
So I go out and I end up having to go out alone. So again, I'm injured and I'm walking up and down hills. So I get to the hunting ground. I set up my snare. And I mean, I wish they would have shown it.
The snare?
Well, the snare, just the way I built this death trap.
Okay.
This pig trap. Yeah, I should call it that. It didn't kill it,
We
right?
redact the term death trap.
Yeah. Nah, it's a survival situation. Yes, it was a death trap.
Okay, yeah.
For that.
Die piggy.
I literally, what I did was I carved out a platform to build high walls. And then I found all these palm leaves, stacked them, all these like coconut that the coconut crabs have gotten into. And I just built this kind of high wall.
Okay.
So it's got to go in one way, but if you're wanting to come out, it's got to back out, right?
Okay.
Then I dug a pit, so covered it with leaves and all that. So when it steps on it, it's going to drop.
Okay.
So it's going to get injured that way. But then I had all these snares lined up as well. So what we used as bait was obviously coconut meat, some of the eel that was left over, some of the giant clam that was left over. And as you know, you've been pig hunting with me. I mean, wild pigs are forager, right? They'll eat anything.
Yeah.
Right? So I make it. A day goes by, I don't hear anything. 2 days go by, we hear squealing that night. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait.
So you just hung out there?
Well, I didn't hang out there.
Oh, okay.
We went back.
You go
it's
back
a
and forth.
secluded island, right?
Yeah.
So you could hear stuff travel.
Okay.
So then, obviously, I need to go check the traps every day, right?
Yeah, yeah. Can't just leave it there.
Yeah, you don't want the animal to suffer. And what if something else comes and gets it, right?
Right.
So go out there, and this time I take Nathaniel, the Eagle Scout guy.
Yep.
Because he hasn't been to the hunting grounds yet, right? So I take him and I go, hey, dude, here's what you're going to do. You're going to follow everyone in my direction. So we get there and we see the pig. It's in the trap. It's weak because we don't know how long. It's been there probably overnight, right?
Right.
So it's been fighting. Now it's tired. It's not getting water. I'll literally tell Nathaniel, hey, I'm going to jump on the head or the upper body. You're going to jump on lower body. Hold it down. 1, 2.
Wait, how big is this pig?
Nathaniel says that it came in at probably like 80 to 90 pounds because, again, we have to carry it out as well, right? So it goes, okay, this is easy. I'm like, dude, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I just know we have meat for the next few days, right? We jump. I jump on it. He jumps on the back. I literally pull out my island chains, right? And I just remember stabbing. And at this point, the camera guy's like, you know, because I'm looking around and be like, okay, I want to make sure it's safe.
Yeah.
So I just start whacking it, right? Just stabbing in the neck. I'm just trying to like.
You're trying to get it done quickly, right?
I mean, like, dude, just please die already, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying this in my head as I'm stabbing, like, please die already. Again, people are going to watch and go, I can't believe you did that. You didn't have to do that. It's a survival show, right?
Yeah.
You're going to do everything you need to do to survive.
Right.
Right. And that's just the reality of it. Yeah, you don't have to do it. There's other things you could do. But then why would I put myself in a situation like that, knowing that, hey, there's a potential for me to catch something in the snare trap and not try to harvest it?
Yeah. And provide for your.
Yeah. Right. And plus, I'm injured. I don't want to climb any more trees. Right.
And if you guys watch the show, honestly, they don't really show much.
Yeah.
And honestly, it looks like it was no big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's a pig. Let me sit on it. Good. It's dead now.
Yeah. Well, I think if it originally was going to be on not public TV, I think they would have shown more of it.
Yeah.
But because the CW picked it up, now you got to make it kid friendly and you got to lower the rating so everybody could watch it, right? And I get that. That's just part of the business, right? I mean, the objective is to get a network to purchase it and air it, right? And they did. But I wish they would have shown there's a human side to all that, right? I'm not just out there though because I want to kill stuff and survive, right? I'm out there because my responsibility is to take care of the people I care about on that island, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to do whatever it needs without hurting anybody else to take care of them, right? And it just happens to be that wild pig was there, right? I mean, if it wasn't, I would have tried to do something else, but
Right.
it wasn't. It was there. I just remember jumping on it. I just kept, and it seemed like hours went by, but it didn't, right? Because now I'm still injured, so we harvested. It finally dies, right? So we're finding, no matter where you go, you're gonna find trash washed up ashore, right? So finding broken glass, and again, I'm shaving it down. So there's a lot of survival stuff I did that they didn't show. But again, you can only fit so much into
Right.
a 50-minute episode, right? There's longer rock. So I know stuff that you can use to skin it, right? So belly side down. No, thank you to coffee, buddy. So there I am just slicing it, right? And Nathaniel's holding up open the chest cavity, and I'm slicing it. And it's not a pretty, I mean, I showed you how to harvest the pig. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you showed me, it was pretty.
Yeah, it was pretty, right?
But we had very nice tools.
Yeah. Then it's just going back to, okay, I'm in a situation. And in my mind, it's like, man, if people are watching this, I'm hoping they're going to learn something from it, right? Like, oh, if you can use broken glass, shave it down, make it a sharp edge out. To me, it was more of showing my skill set and educating people on how to really survive on an island, and looking at it going, oh, people can do it. It's not all made for TV. People are really working to do it, right?
Yeah.
So we finally get it cleaned up and stuff. I tell Nathaniel, hey, we're going to pick it up, throw it in the ocean, clean it out. Not only that, but that salt water, you'll marinate the meat a little bit. They'll keep the bugs
Okay.
off.
A little bit of brine.
Yeah. So we got all of the entrails and stuff out, right? So then, of course, we saved the liver, right? I'm like, hey,
Heck yeah. Vitamins.
yeah, right? Save the liver. I'm like, dude, I don't know if we want to save the heart or not, right? So I should going back and forth. I said, let's just take the heart as well, right? So then I tell Nathaniel, hey, go get as much leaves and brush as you can so we could stuff the inside of it. And again, you've gutted a pig with me. There's not a blood that comes out of it, right?
Yeah.
There's barely any, right?
Yeah.
Again, we do all that. And then I literally go, hey, I need you to go find a giant piece of wood so we could literally carry it out, right? There's pictures of it, right?
Yeah.
On Coach K's training.com website, right? And on my Facebook and Instagram, right? So there's pictures of it. So we literally had, I want to say just up and down. I mean, it was easily a mile to a mile and a half, just making our way back. And then there's thick junk brush that you have to make your way through and all this stuff. There's rocks that are hidden and buried. We carried out, and again, no water at this point, right? So I'm like, man, I wish we would have brought a couple young coconut just to be able to crack open.
Yeah.
But I didn't plan ahead. I failed in that respect, right? Not planning ahead. We finally get it back, and now it's a full pig on the stick, right? And it's literally, okay, now we got to pour it, right? Because now we got to cook it. And now it's just messy. I mean, they didn't show how we cut up the python, but what we did was we stretched it over a lava rock, and then we took another rock and just smashed it. So the lava rock would cut it as we're smashing
Oh,
it.
okay.
Right? Yeah. Same thing we did with the pig. It was like lay it down.
Tenderize that
Yeah,
meat.
tenderize. I mean, trying to get through the shoulder and all that, just breaking it, and then finally just literally just stripping the skin off, right?
Yeah.
Getting your hand in there. It's messy and it's dirty. So I'll put in a lot of work. And I wouldn't say this was at least a good 5-6 hours at this point, where I'm continually nonstop working.
Yeah, from the point that you saw the pig and had to take action.
Yeah. So then finally we get back to our cave. We build up a whole like smoking rack and stuff, and we cook it.
I love that. You had a smoking rack in your cave. It must have smelled so nice in that cave.
It was, yeah. I mean, we built it high enough up above the fire. We had palm leaves and stuff and coconut leaves that we just threw over.
Yeah.
Coconut palms, fronds. So we do all that. So we eat for the next 3-4 days. But I can tell you right now, after I harvested that pig, I was in pretty bad condition because jumping on it, having to carry it out, I was in pretty bad condition. And in my head, it's, dude, you're not a quitter. It's not over. I start coughing up blood later that evening. And I talked to the medic, and he goes, dude, you may have a broken rib, right? But if we take you to go get X-ray.
Oh, right. Because they have,
you're on the show, right?
Yeah.
Because the hospital's gonna.
all they know is you're in pain. They don't know what's going on.
So, dude, to their credit, they wanted to pull me. It was my choice since day one.
Yeah.
After getting that injury, I wanted to stay.
Yeah,
So this,
there was one or two or even three, maybe three other people that ended up having to go off because
because
of
medically
injuries.
dropped, right?
The one MMA dude, his neck just hurt.
Yeah. Right. He came down with some kind of bacterial virus, almost meningitis.
Oh,
He ended
okay.
up in the hospital. Yeah. It was crazy, right? So you're on this island, you could get tropical diseases that you don't know unless
Sure.
you leave the island, right?
Right.
With me, I did a pretty good job of kind of going, hey, it's just a little injury. I've been here before, right?
Yeah.
I've been shot. I've been stabbed and all that, right?
Who hasn't?
Yeah, right. I'm good. I know what this feels like, right? It's just a minor injury. Deep down, I was like, dude, I don't know how much longer I can last, right?
Yeah.
Because at some point, it's a competition, right? But I'm not treating it like a competition. I'm treating it like it's my survival challenge, right?
Right.
Okay, if you don't make it in
You
reality,
die.
you're dead, right?
Yeah.
Right? Now, if I took the time to rest like everybody told me to, I think I would have made it to the end, right?
Okay.
But they said, hey, man, we got to pull you. And I said, dude, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
I'm coughing up blood. I'm not doing well. I get it. And I think there was only 2 days left, right?
Yeah.
Until the end.
And there's definitely some behind the scenes stuff there because on the show, it just looks like you're like, you know what, I'm tired. I've had enough. I'm gonna go. But there's no mention of your injury on the show.
Well, yeah, again, how bad would that be for them to go, well, he said he was hurting, right?
Yeah.
Or he chose to
And
stay.
20 days later, we let him stay for 20 more days.
Right? That would be bad on their part. But it wasn't their, in my opinion, it wasn't their call to make.
Right.
Like, hey, I fought it. I was like, dude, I'm fine. Leave me alone. I'm going to go lay down.
Yeah.
And how you going to challenge me in that? Okay, well, and it's funny. The only time you see me is when I'm out feeding people, right?
Right.
Is when I'm harvesting like papayas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
You didn't have enough drama to get like a huge amount of airtime, but you had the survival skills. So your airtime was all, like you said, when you're out there, like bringing food home.
Yeah. And I wish they would have shown more of that. Like,
You need to be more dramatic, bro.
Right. I know, right? Well, when I found the bananas, I should have cried. But it's just one of those things where I get it, dude. Drama is what pulls people in to watch, right? And I get it. And I'm not a TV producer, so they do what they got to do, right? I'm just a contestant on a show,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
But
yeah, you're just out there being you.
yeah. Well, and again, if I wanted to do that kind of stuff, like the other two was like, you need to drop and go beyond these other shows, and I'm like, well, I'm here now, so I'm gonna go as far as I can make it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of looking back now, one, it was a great experience.
Yeah.
I would want change. I wouldn't change anything about the show.
Yep.
Right. I know what I did out there, and if people want to know more, they could reach out to me and be like, hey, dude.
Yep.
And even now I'm getting messages like there's a whole fan page and stuff, which is pretty awesome because I'm like, I wonder how much people actually saw. Because I myself haven't watched the full show because I was there. I know exactly what happened, right? So people like, did you watch it? Look, I watched a couple episodes. I think the producers did a great job, right? But I was there. I know what happened, right? And I know all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
So now I'm having people reach out to me who go, hey, I'm going to apply for this. Any recommendation? Can you give me some tips and stuff? I'll pay you. So
yeah. Actually, let's talk about that. First of all, coachkstraining.com to see the full list of things that K does and that K offers and for contact. So if people are seeing this and they want to learn something, what do you teach?
I
don't know if we have time for all that, but
it's more honestly, and I'm not trying to boast myself, but it's more what I don't teach, right? With enough information, I could be like, okay, here's what we need to know, right? Know the basics. Everybody wants to know a little bit of everything, right? Because then they feel like, oh, I know a little bit of everything, right? I'll be able to survive. None of that matters when you get out there. Because the one thing you didn't know matters, and you didn't take the time to work on that, right? Like fire. Everybody thinks they know how to make fire until it's wet, it's sandy, it's humid, you don't have the right wood. You made fire awesome. Now keep that fire going. I didn't plan this far ahead. So for me, when it comes to the basic food, water, shelter, fire, right? And if it comes to food, it'll encompass, here's how you make snare traps. Here's how you're going to forage, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to shelter, all right, how much time are you willing to invest in making your shelter? I'm going to show you 3 different types of shoals, right? Do you know how to tie knots, right? I'm going to teach you how to tie bow line, right? How to tie hitches, clove hitches, all of that, right? I'm going to teach you 4 basic knots that you need to know to be out there. Fire. What can I use for fire, right? What type of fuel is going to burn really well? What do I need? I need heat. I need air, right? And I need some type of fuel, right? That's going to keep my fire going. And then water, like, what if there isn't a clean water source? How can I filter that water? Is there other forms of me getting water? How much water should I be drinking? Because if you drink too much water, you're just diluting your system, right? You don't have the salt, the potassium, right? You're going to cramp up.
Yeah.
So there's all these factors that don't just drink water, make a tea out of it, right? So
Get some antioxidants with your water.
exactly. I'll teach you how to track. I'll teach you what to look out for. Mainly in a survival situation, you're either out there to survive until somebody comes and finds you, or until you can get it, right?
So this is survival. Do you do self-defense, like private instructing on self-defense?
Yeah. So that as well. I've trained Navy SEALs instructors, bunch instructor,
Yeah.
one-on-one in self-defense. I've trained guys who were going into special forces in land navigation and survival. And I don't know how that came about, to be honest. I don't know if it was working with Scott and Coast Tactical Training. I was introduced to all these other military guys, and they were like, "Hey, man, I want to train with you.
Yeah.
I watch what you did, and it's legit. I want to train with you." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, of anybody that you could go and train with, there's a lot more famous people than me, right?"
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they picked me. So
But you have more charisma and you're better looking.
yeah, sure, why not? I'll take it, Drew. I'll take that all day.
So you do the survival stuff, you do self-defense. As part of the survival, I think you do land navigation, you do various types of firearms training, whether it's just getting people prepared if they want to conceal a carry, getting people prepared if they want to hunt, or just getting people comfortable with even handling a firearm at all. You do medical, so you teach people like
triage, and all that, yeah, mass casualty incidents.
You
certify
do
people in CPR and
CPR. You do active shooter response training. What am I missing? Hunting.
Hunting.
You can do like private training for hunting.
Taking people out on who've never camped before, like camp on camping trips. Just showing them how to pitch a tent, build a fire. It's stuff that I definitely don't think about, because in my head, it's, everybody should know how to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you live in the city, bro. Most of us don't know how to do any of that stuff.
Right. Man, everybody's wanted to have a bonfire or build a fire in the backyard or kind of party.
Use lighter fluid and a lighter.
Right. So there's people who really do want to learn and grow and just be more comfortable being in nature, I guess.
Yeah.
And even if it's
Absolutely.
not nature, it's being in that urban environment.
Especially people that grow up in the city, in the suburban environment.
Yeah.
It's an unknown, right? A lot of people just want to make it not an unknown. A lot of people don't know how to take that first step to get out to doing any of those things that you're good at.
Yeah.
Right? You grew up on an island with grandpa, instilling these skills and values in you that really don't exist in, I'll say, our modern Western society. All right. Well, because we talk a lot of health, wellness, fitness stuff, in addition to everything else, I'll give you a little present here.
Oh, man.
Here's this.
Oh, look at that.
What is that?
Oh, look at that. It's a French press.
Yep. And I'll
this will be one of my items on the next.
Well, here, and that goes along with this. Let's see what we got here.
Oh, man. Dude, I got to come on here more often if he's just going to keep giving me stuff.
You might not after you see what this gift is.
Oh, no, man. Oh, snap. The little enema books on the Gerson therapy.
There you go. So Kay has a brand new coffee enema set up.
Hey, and this is dual purpose, right? I could filter water. I could boil water from this.
And you can put it up your butt.
Yeah, your butt. Because that, by the way, that is one of the best way to
detox.
Rehydrate.
Oh, rehydrate and detox.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way.
Stick it up your butt. Have that water just go right up.
Wow.
Yeah. Hold on.
The more you know, folks.
I don't want to get this dirty. Dude, should we do a podcast about, hey, so how's your first enema?
Oh, yeah, we'll do that because I bought myself one of those too, and I have not used it. We'll tell you guys all about our coffee enema experience. Anyway, it's a good detox. It's supposed to be a really good detox. Also, at this point, Kay refuses to get in my cold plunge because supposedly he's got a boo-boo that he not supposed to put in the water. Lame. So
I know.
We'll get him back here sometime and share a little bit more and get in the cold plunge.
I definitely want to get in that cold plunge. So
I want to see how your island adapted self does in 37-degree water.
Yeah. I'm honestly excited, dude, to really get in there.
All right, folks. So again, if you want to reach out to Coach K, CoachK'sTraining.com and we will link to it in the show notes. Again, show notes for today's episode and all the episodes are at the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast.com. Keali'i Kapana.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
for
me.
being here, brother.
I look forward to our next one.